EFN.
Yo, what's good? This is Manny Digital. Welcome to the Fatherhood podcast.
Boy, I got shot. I'm always doing that to my daughter, to all these like dog and cat noises.
That's a good cat noise, though.
It gives her, it really brings a smile to her face.
Today was a very good day for me, and not because, well, here's the thing. Today I was on super duper daddy duty.
Okay.
But it has some twists to it. So I had to stay with the little one through the whole day. The other two went to school. But then after school is kind of where it could have got crazy because they had to go to, so my kids do, it used to be called CCD, but it's basically like religious instruction because they go to public school. So they go to get their, communion and confirmation and all that stuff.
Wait,
so,
they make them do that in public school?
No, they don't. So we put them, right. So because they go to typically in Catholic school, that's just part of kind of like the curriculum, so to speak. So I have to put them in our local church in order for that to happen. So after school, they go and they do that. So they get home from school and they have like, I don't know, a half an hour before I have to take them to CCD. But the thing is, this is their first time there. So I don't know who's going to what class or whatever. So I have to like coordinate everybody, all three of them, get them in the car, make sure they get their snacks and all this stuff, right? Put them in the car, get there. Boom, drop them off. Everything's nice and organized over there. So I just drop them off. I check the scene. Everything looks good. I bounce. But my daughter, my youngest, she's like, Dad, when you drop them off, you have to take me to the park. And I was like, if you behave today, that was our deal, right? So she did everything by the book. Yo, this girl today shocked the shit out of me because normally she's looking for any opportunity not to listen, right? So if I tell her, sit there and be still until, like, for instance, I was taking a shower. I was like, yo, just sit on the bed, wait for me to get out of the shower. Normally, the room is upside down if I ever try to tell her that. Today, she sat on the bed, no device, nothing. She was just there, just, I don't know, imagining shit, I guess. And when I got out, I'm grilling her. I'm like, yo, what did you do? What did you touch? And I'm looking around just to make sure nothing's crazy. And, yo, quite as kept. Like, she was perfectly fine. Everything was on the up and up. So I drop all the kids off. Our deal was great. So she did everything she was supposed to. Took her to the park. She didn't give me no problems in the park. If I have to leave, for instance, like we had to leave, it was like we were there for like 20 minutes. I was like, all right, it's time to go. She was like, okay. She said bye to her friends. And then we got in the car and she didn't say a peep. So chaos could have ensued right there. Chaos could have ensued not, with drop off at the freaking church. Then I had to go pick up the kids at the church. I'm thinking, all right, this is too good to be true. Because it doesn't work out this perfectly for me, ever. And she's like, not while now. I was like, look, we got to go get them now. She's like, okay, it's all good. Let's go. We go. Drop off was like perfect. The kids came out as soon as I got there. Get in the car. We bounce to the crib. I get here right before the show. I'm like, all right. They never agree on what we're going to eat. I was like, we're having tacos. They was like, yes, unanimously. I was like, oh, fuck. So I make the tacos before we get here, before we start the show. I left the meeting. I came downstairs. Not a motherfucking sound yet. So I'm having a drink. I know, to you, you're probably like, all right.
Wait, I hear AK-47 rounds in the background. Go upstairs now.
Yo, you know how the unpredictability of a toddler, like especially a very creative toddler. Right. I'm always on my tippy toes with this kid because I don't know what the fuck is about to happen. And my wife's still not home. She probably just got home actually, and everything has been, knock on wood, perfect so far. So
do you ever use the tactic of or letting any of your kids kind of choose for themselves, like what they're gonna do when they have some free time, instead of instead of us always kind of dictating, like, all right, you can watch, a half hour of TV right now, and then you got to go do this, and then you got to go do that. Do you ever try the approach of, all right, you've got the rest of the afternoon, what do you think is, what do you think you want to do, and what do you think is good
I'm
for
sure
you?
That's harder with multiple kids, though.
I'm just wondering if you've ever tried it. My wife and I were reading something the other day, and it was a tactic. Like, I guess this woman was writing an article, and she was just getting harassed by her daughter all the time. And it was just like a constant struggle. So she tried to flip it and put the put some independence in the kids' decision making, and she found that, at least for her and her daughter, that seemed to work out.
I've never intentionally done it. Meaning, like in your case, right? You just said, all right, you got this whole big ass block of time. You go figure out what you want to do. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. That's kind of what you're saying, right?
In a sense, but it's also like, all right.
I mean, you'd facilitate it, whatever they decide.
Yeah. Or it's like, all right, if you're asking for TV, all right, well, how much, what do you want to, how much time do you think you should spend right now watching that?
God,
and,
no.
The kid says an hour or 30 minutes, and you say, okay, well, do you think that's the smartest use of your time? Do you think that seems good? And then what are you going to do afterwards? Since, that's going to be your TV time right now. What are you going to do after, since you won't have any more TV time after that because you've already used it?
Right.
So you're still kind of you're still in
guiding
control
them.
of
Right.
it, but it's almost like letting them feel like they're in control of the decision, even though it's still kind of a joint thing going on.
So what we do here is we'll say, all right, today you guys have to do, so and so. This is what you have to make sure you do at some point today, right? And it'll be, for instance, my daughter this weekend. She had to rearrange my sneakers because I have a lot of sneakers. She had to put them in their bins or what have you, and then like make sure that it was all tidy. She had the weekend to figure out when she wanted to do that, right? So I told her Friday, I was like, look, by the end of Sunday, by the time you go to bed on Sunday, this task needs to be completed. So I give her the liberty to figure out how to work time around that. And so she's good at it because she's already accustomed to how, knowing that she has to get shit done. So what she did was she put it on her calendar for Sunday. She was like, this is the block of time I'm going to allocate to that. My son, on the other hand, he'll for instance, I'll be like, look, if his job is to make sure that so we have like a little kids table in our family room. That kids table needs to be clear and clean before you go to bed every night. I don't care when you do it, but make sure that either you hold everybody accountable so that they clean their own shit up, or you at the end of the night you're taking care of it. And I was like, and if not, shit's gonna get thrown out. And he's like, all right. So we do it kind of in that way, but not as I guess logical maybe is the word as you described it. Because I like that approach because it's more like partnership versus dictatorial. You fell asleep.
Sure, you're right.
But yeah, what's new? What's new in infant world?
Let's see. So this past weekend, I had to go to Atlanta for the Revolt Summit, and it was kind of a conflicting schedule for us at home because one of the few things that my girl does outside of taking care of our daughter all day is she enjoys doing CrossFit, right? And she had planned to do a competition. She told me about a month or two out, and it's with a partner. So she had someone and they paid to be a part of it, and it was a big deal, and they were kind of training for it. And this whole Revolt Summit, like life, how it is, landed on the same weekend. And the thing is that being that we really don't have help, it's just us two. If she's gonna do something that it's all day from early in the morning till the early evening, there's only one person that could help out and take care of the baby because we really haven't initiated any kind of babysitting situation. So that was me, and I have no problem with it. But the Revolt Summit thing landed on it, and whatever. So as it started to creep up, and I found out that that's what was happening, and it was just a lot of behind the scenes things going on with Drink Champs and Revolt Summit trying to figure out travel and all that. And it just turned out that Nori couldn't make it, so it was just on me. And the event they definitely needed me at was on Friday, and then my girls' competition was on Saturday. So then I'm like, all right, well, I have to get there, do the event. Like, I mean, I flew in on Thursday, did the event on Friday, and then I had to get a flight, and there was not many flights coming out of Atlanta to choose from. I actually had to get a different airline than I usually fly, and all of that, and it was cutting it really close. It was like, and then of course I knew that it was gonna happen. The panel that I was on at the summit was kind of delayed and all this stuff, but actually the people, props to the people from Revolt. I told them I have a hard out. I got to make a flight, and I don't know how long, and I don't know what it's gonna take to get to the airport, and I can't chance being late because regardless, I was gonna get to the airport, fly in, and be back in Miami in the AM. I was gonna have, and originally we were gonna pay a friend of ours that babysits. That's a friend of my girls from the gym, to basically go in the morning. My girl was gonna get up at 5 a.m, get ready, and go to the competition. And the friend was gonna go with her and watch our daughter. While I came in, being that I came in late and was probably gonna be tired, I was gonna sleep in, then meet them out there at the competition, kind of refreshed, and then take over. I called my girl while I was in Atlanta. I said, I don't think our daughter should leave that early if she doesn't have to. So I'm proposing that no matter what time I get in, which I was going to get in around 2 a.m, I'm used to it. I'm used to 2 a.m, 3 a.m, even drunk, waking up and taking care of my daughter. I said, let's just thug it out. I'll take care of her. You go and do what you got to do. And then let's let her be at home and then take her midday nap. And then we both go and shoot. And it'll be less stress for her. Yeah. Because it's hot. It's outside. It's a lot of stuff going on. And at first my girl was like, because my girl doesn't like when you switch up plans, even if it's a better plan. And I get it. I'm kind of the same way. When you have your mind set on something, when you switch, you're just like, is this going to screw everything up? But she thought of it and she's like, okay, you're right. That's probably going to be better. So that's what we did. My girl went. I woke up, stayed with the baby. Then the baby took the midday nap. Baby woke up, drove out, and it was in Wynwood, so it's a little distance. Drove out there. Boom, made it to see my girl in one of her heats. It was like the second WOD that she had to do of the day or something, I think. Saw her, hung out there. It was hot as hell. We were going to try to thug it out all, till the end of the competition. And then a couple hours in, I told my girl, I think it's a little bit too much for Emmy. It's too hot out here, and I think, it's probably best that I get her back home and that she, just I get her ready for a regular night's sleep. And then we both agreed. And then I left again and my girl stayed. And my girl, congratulations to her and her partner. They got second place out of 21 teams.
Nice.
21 teams?
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. Which event was that? What's the name of the
Oh man, it was at CrossFit Wynwood.
Okay.
And I'll tell you right now what the name of the competition was.
'Cause I'm wondering, when I was doing CrossFit many moons ago, they used to have a Miami event, and I wonder if it's the same joint.
It was Box Life Games, is what they called it.
I don't think that was it.
Yeah, so they killed it, and I just think that it all worked out, and it was kind of like, we going through the motions, and it was one of the, maybe it's the first time that we successfully managed a situation like that, and definitely a learning lesson that was semi-successful, I would say.
And just for that, actually, I have this award that I wanted to present to you because.
Oh, thanks. Is it like a merit,
it's a badge,
a Boy Scout badge? I get for first one. I'm a Weebelo now.
Yo, what's funny? Somebody that's listening to us now that may not have a kid is probably like, yo, this guy's a fucking choach. Why is he even telling the story? This is not a big deal. Yo, dog. What you just described, B? I got to give you a lot of props because the easy thing to do in that scenario was like, yo, honey, you're just gonna have to not go because it's hard for me not to
I wasn't gonna do that. The easy thing was to stick to the plan, which was pay the girl to take my daughter with them and me sleep in. That was actually the easier thing for me.
Right.
Because I'm like, all right, cool. I get to sleep in, and I just, whenever I get up, I'll go over there and handle business. But I realized, and this is when you're like saying what's best for my daughter, you know, and also not just what's best for my daughter, but to let my girl enjoy this experience that she trained for. With my daughter being there, she's going to be distracted.
Yeah, that's tough.
You know, especially with somebody else. If I'm there with my daughter, she might be a little distracted, but I'm there with my daughter. It's not as distracting. She can feel confident enough that I'm with our daughter. So I think it just worked out. And I told her, I don't think you would have gotten second place had our daughter been there with you from 8 a.m. or whatever time you were getting there in the morning. Because, it was
preoccupied.
Yeah, and our daughter started having, little tantrums. She wanted to walk around. The thing is all packed and crazy. And, and if you didn't let her walk, she was going to, she was throwing little fits. And it was hot to the point it was so hot that I was worried. Like, I don't think this is safe. It's that hot, humid.
So basically, she won because of you. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, Coach EFN, Fat Boy Fit Training.
We actually started putting up like a big wall calendar up in our crib, and writing in like important travel dates and all that kind of stuff, so that we have a clear understanding. Because sometimes we were running into things where, just the day escapes you. I might tell her something like, hey, I got to go X, Y, and Z, and it might not register, or she does the same with me. She goes, I got to do this on this day, and I forget about it, and then the day comes, and then we both have something scheduled, and so, we've been just having a kind of a big visual calendar where we can kind of what's the word?
Yeah, we need to get to that. Right now, we just have like
co-live,
co-create,
like a weekly, like top of the week,
recap
meeting. Like, okay, this is what the week is looking like. But I'm always putting that caveat. But it could always change, and Drink Champs is unpredictable, and this, But this is what I do know now.
Yeah, I tell you. So we have the same kind of setup. We have a calendar, like because we leave my house to the garage. So on our way out, we have very easy for everybody to see.
Yeah.
But so that's one calendar, and then we have a shared family Google calendar that we use. That shit, gold. And there's a rule in our house between my wife and I. It's like, if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. So you could tell me, I could tell you, if we didn't take...
Your auto-tune is messing up.
You don't like that shit?
No, you're freezing.
If you didn't take the time to put that shit in the Google calendar, it doesn't count. And that thing saves us a ton of fucking fights, because that's the one thing. It's like, it makes it seem you kind of get this conflict going. It's like you don't care about your partner's whatever they put on the calendar, but in reality, it's like, we just don't fucking remember.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of,
yep. And that's all I got to say about that.
Going back to school real quick, Manny. I'm curious.
School, son.
So my son started a new school for first grade, and he adjusted fine. And it was, one of his friends goes there, one of his best friend goes there, and so it was a real easy transition. But I'm curious, because I know you moved around quite a bit in the last couple of years. What was it like for your daughter? And I don't know if your son had to experience this, but going through new schools and moving somewhere and then having to readjust?
For the parents, it was probably one of our biggest fears. For the child, it was... So I'll take you back to... So when we were moving from Miami to Cali, when I got the offer to work in California, I broke the news. So my daughter was... My eldest was 5. Was she 5? I think she was around 5. And I said, I took her, I broke the news to her like I did to my wife. I was like, look, we had like a family meeting, call it. And I was like, look, here's what this is. We're going to be leaving. Here's what that means. Because, 5-year-old doesn't fucking know Cali from down the street. So I was like,
right.
We thank God for technology. We kind of broke out the iPad at the time and was like, look, here's what we are now. Here's where we're going. At the beginning, so as soon as she internalized that information, she started like bawling because she immediately understood I can't just go to my grandmother's house. I can't just go see my cousins. So that for her, I think, was initially the hard part. But like in, I don't know, half an hour, maybe, she was already like, yo, so what's California like? And then we were like, oh, going through all the nice shit about California. But school-wise, for her, it was like an adventure. And that's how she treats new situations just generally. Like she's not necessarily one that's like excited to meet new people per se, but she enjoys the challenge of adapting to new situations. That's what we found with her. So for her, she went from kindergarten to first grade. Actually, it was the transition for her in California, and it was. I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect. And for my other kids, they never had to experience it that way.
Well, what about when she came from California to New York? How was that? Because she was older, so I would think that'd be harder on her at that point.
It's funny. My wife, we weren't necessarily thinking about leaving California. Our mind was like, we're going to be Californians. Like, that's how we were thinking about it when we lived out there. And for some reason, I don't know, we must have had a conversation about, like, what if? And my wife was like, if we're doing this, if there's ever a possibility for us to do it, I think it's after third grade. And I forget what the rationale was, but she had, like, laser focus on a particular age and time frame. So sure enough, that's kind of when the shit landed. And so we left Cali, ended up back here in New York, and it was right on time as far as what my wife wanted, if we had to make a move. And we were afraid again because we were like, all right, maybe one time. The first time was just luck. Second time around might be more serious. And what happened was actually really interesting. So we get here. It was like the school year had already begun. It was like November when we actually arrived. And they took her in with open arms. So that first day experience set the tone for the rest of the process. So for her, it was great. Everybody was nice. Teacher was cool. Within a month, that girl, she was struggling with math, and it might have been English. Like, those were her two, like, terrible subjects back in Cali. Within a month, the grades, like, skyrocketed. Like, she was on a roll within 3 months of us moving back here. So just to prove the point, like, her way of assimilating was, like, better than we could have anticipated.
I thought you were going to attribute it to the water from New York or something.
No, actually,
that's for the pizza.
E was the one who made it. Who made it work?
right. It's E. E. Thank you, E.
You're welcome.
That Fat Boy Fit, that shit saves lives.
Fat Boy Fitness, get it right, son. .com.
What do you find, Kay, in Cali? Right? Does your son get homework?
The fuck.
You know what? At his previous school, his kindergarten school, he had homework day one.
Really?
And yeah, and their whole thing, like, they were all about academics. I mean, they had maybe one recess a day. They had, PE every 2 weeks, that kind of thing. Like, they didn't.
Oh, okay.
So here's kind of what it was. The school did not have a lot of money. It did not have a lot of resources. It wasn't like pretty by any means. It was just, and it was sad because you just see, like, damn, there's a lot of schools that have a lot of resources, and then you see a school that they're just not getting their fair share. And really, the way I look at it is that's probably the one thing that they could have control of would be the academics. They're like, well, fuck it. If we can't have X, Y, and Z, then we're going to at least
double down.
double down on the academics. So yeah, he had homework every day since day one in kindergarten, and I mean he did all right with it. I mean it was kind of, I think it was probably a good thing just to learn like, okay, this is what homework is about. And there were times it definitely took him a while. In the pamphlets it says that should only take him 15 minutes or whatever, but he might spend an hour on it because he wants to get it right or whatever. And he was doing Spanish and then the English version, so it was that kind of thing. And then in his new school, it's a dual immersion school again. It's Spanish. It's 90% Spanish, 10% English during the day. And but he hasn't had homework yet. And the homework is supposed to, I guess the teacher sent a note home saying that the homework is going to start on October 1st, but I'm doubtful that it's going to be an everyday type scenario like it was at the other school. Now,
these are public schools?
Yeah, these are public schools.
Crazy.
Yeah. But like this school that we're going to now, it's lottery, right? So, I mean, we tried 3 times. This was the 3rd time we finally managed to make it happen. Yeah, and it was like right before the school year started and everything. But this school has way more resources. It looks nice. It's got all that stuff. But I mean, my wife was funny. She was like, "Damn," she's like, "What? No homework?" Thinking like, the school looks nice, but the academics, what about? so
that's my concern because and we waiting for the bus. We talk like the parents that are waiting to send the kids off, and we're like, "Yo, your kid got homework?" And they're like, "Nah, no homework yet." And I'm like, I mean, I get it. Last year kindergarten, okay, maybe not, but we haven't seen any yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm not so stressed about it. I feel like they will give him homework. He's going to have many years of homework. He already knows, he already knows what the flow of homework is. I'm kind of glad that he had that first year of like intense kind of academic environment. I mean, as far as you could go for a kindergarten, but still, it was pretty intense for little kids, right? And so he already knows the drill on that one, and I think that once it kicks back in, it's fine. But it's crazy, man. I mean, just like he's got 2 recesses. He comes back and he's saying, "Wow, the chairs are even more comfortable." And
he was in the hood school before.
Yeah, he was. But
moving on up.
It shows like, just in terms of public schools, like, damn, man, there's a huge, vast difference between a school that has funding and a school that's that's not.
Okay, but what gets the funding? Like, why do they get funding? What?
I don't know the inner workings.
Like, they're all public schools, so shouldn't they all equally?
Yeah, you would think that's
school district, like shit, like district.
Yeah, I think they have. Because again, like LA is a huge district, right? And then so they're going to be more affluent areas, and they probably get served, a little bit more. Not probably, they do. If you look at the quality of the schools, and then if you have areas where it's underserved and it's lower income and that kind of thing, it always seems to be the case that those are the schools
that's crazy, man.
That don't get the funding.
You would think that that shouldn't be that way, because it should be the same funding all across the board, because it's kids getting taught. Like, you shouldn't.
Yeah, I think there's other aspects to it. From like attendance seems to be a big thing for at least this previous school. They were like hammering that back. Like, the more that kids are absent, the less money that they're going to receive from the school district.
Makes sense. Right.
So I think there's a lot of factors involved in it, and I really can't pretend that I know much of it other than
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things.
Other than just seeing like, oh shit, this school, there's parents involved in doing things, but you're not depending on the parents for everything. Whereas the other school, where they had less resources, I mean, if the parents weren't there helping, putting all the homework packets together, the homework wouldn't go out to the kids, that kind of stuff. So it's crazy, man.
Okay, keep it a buck. Are you a PTA parent?
No.
I'm not. E, do you aspire to be a PTA parent?
Not really.
My wife was my wife did room mom last year for kindergarten, and that took a lot of time because again, this was a school that seriously relied on all the parent involvement to get a lot of stuff done, and I don't think either of us realized that it was going to be like that. I do I volunteered and did some things at school. I'll volunteer and do some things at school this year as well, but I'm not going to be the PTA guy. No.
Yeah, no. I got a letter yesterday.
From the government?
Yes, them too.
Public Enemy reference if anybody knows.
From the PTA saying something like they're already getting come support or what have you. I do support, but I don't get involved with the PTA. I just can't. Too much for me.
Just get to the GoFundMe.
It's a lot. I give them props though. Like, yo, it's a real job. Like these parents, they fucking go in. But if you need me to go read for 15 minutes, I'll do that. That's my contribution. But I ain't rallying.
15 minutes? What? Read a story to the kids?
Yeah, I did that shit all last year.
Really?
Yeah, I would come in with a ninja mask. Like, they loved it. They ate that shit up.
The ninja mask. All right.
There you go.
That's a full-blown terrorist style. Yeah, that's really good, Manny.
Fatherhood's pro tip: wear a ninja mask. Ay, Dios mío.
Well, so no, everybody's still sticking to Euphoria. Anybody catch up?
Oh man, you know what? I might just actually watch another episode tonight.
I let the trial subscription end.
He's out of that.
I'm gonna watch it. I was actually recommending it to somebody this week. But I gave him the disclaimer. I was like, "Yo, shit gets real. You got to be mentally prepared." But it's really well done television.
All right. Actually, I had a question for you guys. My daughter, I feel like she's actually creeping into the Terrible Twos era, and and I've talked about it before, but I wanted to see how you guys dealt with it. She has the craziest food tantrums. She has tantrums over all kinds of things, but food is what really ticks her off. She needs to have it, even if she's not hungry. It's crazy. The only way to calm her down is with giving her something like a snack. Did you guys go through that? I know that some people are saying that we're actually lucky because most kids
don't want to eat,
are picky eaters and don't want to eat. Where my daughter is just the total opposite. The only thing she doesn't want to eat is maybe lettuce.
I didn't go through that at all.
You didn't have that problem? My eldest, she's a fat ass. She's a super foodie. So for her, I mean, even before I came into the picture, my wife was always saying, yo, this girl is fucking out of control. You got to give her something. So she was always like that. But we would just keep feeding her, bro. That was the.
I mean, we're not gonna keep feeding
her. But I mean, you they normalize after a while.
I'm imagining that. I just the tantrum thing is kind of. I look at her. I'm like, really, bro? You're gonna throw a tantrum, and she throws
it might have less to do with the food and more about just she's testing her her strength in terms of voicing what she wants and getting what she wants when she wants it type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too. I feel like she's in the realm now where she's understanding action and reaction.
Right.
And we've caught her already fake crying.
Oh,
where she's
nice.
And we just keep looking at her, and then she has a little grin on her face. And we're like, this motherfucker.
Yo, you know what's good usually? When they start crying, try to mimic their cry.
Oh, I do it all the time. I've been doing it since day one.
Does she ever it goes two ways. It's either it escalates or they kind of know that they're not getting you, and then they start laughing.
If I'm holding her close and I do that and she slaps me in the face, I'm ready to react now.
Next time, just drop to the floor and really start pretending you're crying and having a tantrum and see what she does.
No, and the other thing is, if I'm not holding her, well, I mean, she's only smacked me like once or twice, but I'll do like the pretend crying, and she just like starts laughing at me. I'm like, yo,
like, Daddy, you a bitch. Can you stop?
Yo, you are brutal, girl. It's crazy, man. Like sometimes when we take her to a restaurant with us, yeah, it's like she'll wild out. Like she needs to have, like, we need to be keep feeding her. Like my girl has a system, like, like 1 for her, 2 for me, like type of thing. Like, yeah. Keep it moving, keep that train moving.
The shit gets out of hand though sometimes. Like, not in your particular case, the way you described it, but like there's parents that even without the tantrum, they're like, it's like clockwork. Like every hour and a half, they're feeding their kid, and they don't need to be fed that often.
No, and then my girl's done a good job of finding like low calorie snacks and things that we can give her that are not gonna affect her in that kind of way.
Right.
But still, my daughter's like a little glutton, man. Like, she could eat, boy. I mean, she's my daughter. Fat boy fitness.
Hey, she's gonna get into that CrossFit real soon.
Yeah. Well, we got in the baby gym.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, gents. Fatherhood calls on my end here.
All right.
What do you think, Kay?
I'll talk to you guys later, bro.
Put on my ninja mask and
there you go. You're welcome.